If you're going to make a point in Rhino, you may as well make it in Grasshopper. Example, take a point, put it in your screen. See where it turned out. You can select it with the gumball on. You should be able to see it. And then you can move it around and you can do whatever you want with it. You could also right click, select as many points as you want within that window. Let's say here, here from the top. And then you're stuck selecting a few of those points, moving them up, taking another one, selecting one there, moving it up. And that's one way to generate a bunch of points in Rhino. Now, the power of Grasshopper is you don't have to worry about any of that. You don't have to worry about anything in the Rhino window completely. So let's go to perspective, see what we have here, and how can we produce a bunch of points in Grasshopper in the simplest way that I can think possible, and how we could bake those into Rhino, and then have, if we group them, there they are. They should be there if I leave this. There they are. They're in Rhino. I select one, I select them all. And they are in 3 dimensions. Now what's nice about that is with Grasshopper, let's just go into here. I'll show you the script in a second. Jump into a little seed tool, which I'm using over here as a number slider. It's not that big a script. How can we generate as many of those as we ever wanted? Of course, we can bake those as we go. So how am I producing 10 points that fast in Grasshopper, whereas you saw the slow static method of doing it as well? Well, here it is. Pretty simply, and I will create this. We will leave this, and we'll copy the script, and you'll see how it goes about. So let's first of all get rid of all those Rhino points. We don't need them. What we're making is basically a point. So it's nice to go into the vector tab, creating point, and let's generate that point. And there it is. It starts on the 0, 0, 0. And the best way to probably make a grid of points would be to just give it an attribute. Let's say we gave it the attribute. We'll cut and copy this from 0 to 10, just in case you don't have anything there. Just type in 2, double click the screen. I shouldn't move too fast for the beginner because it's a fairly beginner. Just double click, left click, it'll come up. You can just start typing integers between 0 and 10, 2.00. We'll set a slider between 0 and 10, and you can put those in and get a point at 10 in the x worth 10, y worth 10, and z worth 10, and when we click that point, we end up with that. You can see that point moving all the way down from 0, 0, 0. So we've got a whole bunch of points that we could just generate a point that way. But that's not going to generate the system of what we had going on. What I did, if you notice here, is I quickly grabbed a set tool, which this is the way I kind of think about what's the purpose of this sequence. Let's grab a range, and let's throw the range through a domain. You don't have to create a domain. If you put a number slider in, it'll automatically think it's going from 0 to that number. But I am going to set an integer value 2 without the decimals to the steps, and I'm going to actually pump that up to 10. I'm going to use that in every range. I'm going to take that range, put it into X. I'm going to hold down Control and disconnect my Z, and I'm going to create a new range using the same step number, count up to 10 in the Y. And what I'm going to do here is not just have all those points paired. It's like cross-referencing them for every one. Now that we have a list in X and one in Y, I'm actually going to graph one of them. You can use that within the tree tools. You can actually go in, you can grab a graph, and you can graph the X or the Y, which will take all of those items and pair them with the other one. You end up with this nice grid. So you're halfway there, let's say 2/3 of the way there. All you really have to do now is a similar type of graph. Thinking of a transformation, let's go to the simplest transformation, which moves that geometry up 10, and it defaults to a z-axis, but since we're going to use it and add a number slider to it and a range to it, we'll take the z, we'll move it up in the z. Now it just defaults to 1. We will do the same thing with a similar range up to 10, and there we go. We have all the factors going up, and once again, we will want to grab our graph tool of putting all of these numbers to all of those numbers. As long as we graph that, I should have definitely grafted my information. I should have connected the right thing to it. There we go. I've graphed it, and I've got my full set of points. Now what I want to do is just be able to pull out a random amount of digits, and exactly what I did was I said, let's grab a list item out of sets. One of the most common, and you'll see the most common ones are usually up near the top. Grab a list item. We're probably going to grab a list length, and the list length is a whole bunch of numbers, counting the list, but I'll want to flatten that data. It's like cutting down all the data and putting all of it in one tree. So now it is just a single number, 1,300 values, and I will use that count to find a list in a range component. I'm going to take my geometry, bring it in here, and since I want to read each bit, I'm going to flatten that data on my list length. And for visualization, I am going to grab a point and watch what comes out. Currently, as I flatten the list and pull out the point, You'll see it's just the one that's being selected because the indices is saying select 0, but I want to select a range of ones out of these 1,331 count. And of course, the random tool is the one that I do that with. Grab a random, slide in our list as range. Right now, it's grabbing it's defaulting to still the number here, which is choosing one number is being selected randomly. And of course, that changes as we change the seed. So I'm just going to put in the seed count 12, which will give me a different seed. So we can randomly grab any single one seed. But because I want to actually grab anywhere between 2 to 10, or let's say 0 to 10, I'm going to crank it up to 10. We found a way to generate 10 points randomly at any point in Grasshopper. Nice little system, nice little script. We'll neaten it up. Those are the points you want. This is the everything else that's in it, a random tool with a list length, a 10 count, since we're going to be parametric on the 10 count. We're going to have a seed that's parametric. I'll start sliding these parameters back to the beginning. We'll just leave this one listed here. Nice little trick is to pull this down here and double click on one of these lines to get a relay that you can pull it up, get it out of the way. Some people like to use relays. I like to just position my nodes without relays, that they read straight and make sense. The graph tree is here. Pull my point down, put my z vector as close as I can without making it cumbersome. If there's three nodes that are the same, I'll group in space, put in a little bit of grafting tool. If I wanted my script to look even more condensed and small, I'll pull back my two parameters here. I'll grab all four. I'll put them together. I will shorten this one, and we'll just do a quick organization. We will grab a group. So those are the parameters that I want to play with. I'm going to take off everything else in between by right to left click and put on preview off. The whole top script that I was using as my example to just make sure it was working, disabled. And then we have a script that we could actually tighten up even more to show you this range of how do we get 10 points and how do we bake them instead of having to make them in the Rhino window. So you could have generated them this way, but it's probably best instead of a static way of working, which is infinitely slower than working parametrically in Grasshopper. What you do with these points is all dependent on what you then need for a project. So I'm just going to shorten this. I'm going to take this one directly into here, and I'm going to right click and hit it graph, and I can get rid of the node graph, and I can slide that one back. Same thing here. I can slide this Z down to here. I can get rid of this node. I can pop this one into here, and I can graph within the node, which is nice because now you're kind of scripting within the clusters of what's going on. And then I'm going to just grab these last ones. Very nice little script, little compact, little exercise that you can do for yourself just to get a sense over how can I substitute and make my Rhino working parametric and exciting. I'm going to take all of these because I don't need them anymore. I don't even need the bifocals really. And I'm going to put it up here, save that as a very simple 001 script, save, and I think we're good to go. And the only thing I'm going to do is take this off so you can see the points always, whether I select it or not. If you want to know how to select these, if it's being selected or not selected, it's nice to right click, go to your preferences. I like the color blue on things I select, and I like the color orange on things I don't select for some reason. And now I can highlight them blue if those are the ones I want. I've got them all grouped into one set, and so that's it. Now what I would do with this data is a totally other exercise, which I might carry this forward. But right now, I just wanted to emphasize why somebody would move from Rhino and work in Grasshopper. Thanks for watching.